Thank you and welcome to the Lucy G. Moses Awards, the Oscars of Preservation. I'm Peg Breen, president of the New York Landmarks Conservancy. We're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year, and it has been wonderful to watch these awards grow and become our largest and happiest event, and so thank you. But what's not to love about the Lucys? The awards salute terrific preservation projects, intrepid building owners, and skilled preservation professionals we are all fortunate to work with. The Henry and Lucy Moses Foundation has supported us every year, and we are very grateful. And we're glad that Joseph Fishman from the foundation is with us again tonight. We're delighted to be back in this beautiful church, which we gave a Moses to a few years ago when they restored the dome. But now, we begin tonight's awards with the Public Leadership in Preservation. Lori Beckelman has been dedicated to preservation in New York City and state and internationally. As Kent Barwick's assistant at the Municipal Arts Society, she worked on campaigns to save Grand Central Station and the St. Bartholomew's Community House. She continued working on St. Bartholomew's after becoming executive director of the Landmarks Conservancy in 1981. She was also instrumental in efforts to save the Biltmore Hotel after a developer began unlawfully demolishing it. She used a penalty paid by the developer to create an Endangered Buildings Fund, which continues to help save historic buildings. She also began the statewide Sacred Sites program, which has now helped maintain almost 900 historic religious institutions. Mayor David Dinkins appointed her chair of the city's Landmarks Preservation Commission in 1990. During her tenure, the commission designated the African Burial Ground, Audubon Ballroom, the Guggenheim Museum, Woolworth Building, and historic districts in Carnegie Hill and Jackson Heights. Lori later served as Senior Vice President for the World Monuments Fund. Her devotion to preservation continued while holding a variety of non-preservation positions. She currently is working with groups who oppose the state's development plans around Penn Station. Lori's determination to fight for preservation has left a lasting imprint on New York.
Thank you, Peg. And I want to thank all of you for being here tonight to be celebrating preservation and our great city. I also am so honored that so many friends have shown up tonight, and I feel like you've been in every single part of my life for so many years. So thank you. Whoa. When Kent Barwick offered me a job as his assistant/secretary in 1973, fresh out of college, I had no idea this administrative position would lead into a career in historic preservation advocacy. I then had the opportunity, as Peg has told you, to become the executive director of the Landmarks Conservancy, and I had the privilege working with some extraordinary New Yorkers, many of you who are here tonight, not only extraordinary New Yorkers, but passionate New Yorkers. I've been very lucky to have been drawn into so many battles to fight to save many of New York's earliest and greatest monuments. And in every chapter of my life, I've tried to ensure that we New Yorkers get what we deserve. And again, just to remind all of you that this is not the time to become complacent. We have strength in unity, and so we all must continue to play an active role in shaping this great city. When asked to name his 3 favorite American cities, the great Holly White said, New York, New York, New York. Let's not forget that. Thank you.
1065 Clay Avenue is a Cinderella building, a tribute to dedicated owners who undertook an immense task to restore this handsome survivor. Here's what the Neo-Renaissance building looked like in a 1940 tax photo. Here it is when the Landmarks Commission designated the Clay Avenue Historic District in 1994. Empty, but pretty intact. Here is what Ali and Farah Mozaffari faced when they decided to restore it. They inherited the building from a parent who bought it at auction in the 1970s, but couldn't undertake the restoration. They faced issues that would stagger many people. Instead, workers salvaged materials and put in new components to match the originals. The facade now features a beautifully detailed stoop and door, new windows, and lovely ironwork. Farah is showing the new interiors, which now house 7 affordable apartments. The building is a triumph, a beacon of renewal, and a remarkable example of what determined building owners can achieve.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to be among a community of cultural and historical preservationists. As it's saying, if there is a will, there is a way. Everyone who walks down the blocks on Clay Avenue stops and looks and admires the building and compliment our work. I was blessed in this project to receive guidance and consultation of Mrs. Mary Kay Judy to navigate through uncharted landmark preservation guideline. And the second person, who is my wife, Farah, who set up a company and all the paperwork of the project from obtaining permit through payroll and record keeping. I would like to dedicate this award to these two ladies. Thank you very much.
The 69th Street Regiment Armory has an illustrious history. Completed in 1906, it was the first city armory not designed like a medieval fortress. Architectural firm Hunt & Hunt favored the Beaux-Arts. It hosted the 1913 Armory Show of Modern Art and is still home of the legendary Fighting Irish 69th. It was declared a National Historic Landmark in 1965, 18 years before designation as a city landmark. It also has more than 200 wood windows. They became dilapidated and unusable and needed to be replaced. The project team examined historic and contemporary wood samples, analyzed paint and stain finishes, and tested hardware to craft new windows that would meet the exacting set of criteria for this important landmark. All new fenestration precisely matches the historic windows. The panes are energy efficient and blast resistant. Exterior surrounds now gleam, as do the lovely wooden interior ones. This building, designed to help protect citizens, got some well-deserved protection itself.
Thank you very much. It's our honor to be here this evening. As you can tell, that's a beautiful building. Our New York State Armories mean a great deal to our National Guard, our first responders. This building means so much, not just to the city of New York, but to the vast, diverse soldiers who serve in it. And this window project means a great deal, and we're very, very proud of it.
Our work is more meaningful because it is something that tells our service members that we care about them. We care about those finishes. We want to elevate them as they do their work and tell that to the community, that their spaces matter and these individuals matter. And that brings us pride. So we thank you so much for honoring us and honoring this work. And congratulations to Bridget and to Eric Deo from our team who have really shepherded this project, and to Gary for all that you've done. Thank you all, and thank you to the landmarks. Thank you so much.
The Church of St. Luke and St. Matthew's monumental facade is again an architectural highlight on Brooklyn's Clinton Avenue. The Italian Romanesque Revival-style building was completed in 1891 using 7 unique stone types. It went through a century of exposure to the elements and survived 2 fires. The congregation was able to undertake this massive project with funding from adjacent new construction, which utilized special zoning. It required a preservation purpose. By the time this happened, all the stone types needed repairs. Some 466 brownstone units were replaced. The distinctive tool marks on the historic brownstone were recreated in existing units and new ones. The project team found a pneumatic chiseler with changeable attachments that created details that could blend historic stone with replacement masonry. Broken and missing encaustic flooring tiles were replaced with new units fabricated in England. The doors were just scraped, prepared, and repainted. Stained glass windows were repaired with new protective glazing. At the roof, the deteriorated asphalt shingles on the belfry were replaced with new slate shingle. And a new copper cross that echoes the original crowns the building. This is a wonderful example of new construction and preservation working together to revitalize communities.
Thank you very much for the recognition of this project. As you can see, it's a magnificent church in Brooklyn. None of this would have been possible, though, without the ingenious people that designed 74-711, that enabled us to receive funding from our partners in that project, Hope Street Capital, which provided the much-needed funds for the church, not only to restore the facade, which took up at least half of the amount of money, but also we're just about to embark on an internal renovation project for another $3 million. And we're very grateful for the flow of funds, but especially for the team. It was an exemplary team. For Judith Saltzman and Michael Middleton from Lee Saltzman, who guided the project architecturally, for the engineers that worked on it day in, day out, sounding out the stones. You can see it was extensive. And also for Skyline Restorations, from their supervisor, Joseph, through Wilson, and Jason, one of their directors. It was a really wonderful project to work on. I've worked on a number of construction projects, but we're very thankful for it and thankful for everyone that worked on it. Thank you.
The lighthouse was built in 1872 on the northern tip of Roosevelt Island. It was designed by noted architect James Renwick Jr. The handsome 55-foot structure was made from gray gneiss quarried on the island. Despite being a city landmark and on the National Register, the lighthouse fell into startling disrepair. The last major restoration occurred in the 1940s. Interior cast iron was so rusted, parts seemed to have disappeared. The original staircase had fallen apart. Bricks were cracked and without mortar. Concrete crumbled so badly, pieces could be removed by hand. Cracked paving surrounded the tower. Laser drawings and photometric calculations guided the restoration. A new spiral stair winds up the renewed interior. There was special attention to the top. Giant cranes on barges lifted a new drum and metal cone. A new metal deck surrounds the drum. The design pays homage to Renwick's Lost Lantern. Work concluded last year on the lighthouse's 150th anniversary. The lighthouse is again a sturdy beauty, and special night lighting can bathe it in varied colors. Renwick's design is again an architectural exclamation point at the tip of Roosevelt Island.
I'd like to thank the New York Landmarks Conservancy for this prestigious award. As the AV show, Lighthouse has been a prominent anchor at the north tip of Roosevelt Island. This award, again, would have not been possible without the hard work and dedication of architect Tom Fenneman's office. The project was led by Samuel Harris, our structural engineer, Norfast Engineering, our construction partner, ICC Commonwealth Construction, led by Tyler Finkel, and the passion and the skill of on-site trades and subcontractors, led by Patrick Barry. This is really a piece of art. REAC's owner's rep, Lero, the Lero Group, played an important part. And also my hardworking colleagues in every department at REAC, from procurement to maintenance, legal, all the other departments. What once used to guide the boats in East River is now illuminated with a new purpose, as you saw. Lighthouse Tower acts as a beacon with its changing colors, changing colored lights, to recognize and celebrate important occasions and holidays throughout the year. We invite you to come to Roosevelt Island and check out Lighthouse Tower. Thank you.
The restoration of this 1862 loft building restored a bit of Duane Street's history as well. The goal was a minimally invasive scope of work that would return the brick and marble facade and cast iron entry level to their original appearance. The project started by removing an inappropriate coating that was disguising damage throughout the facade. The second floor cornice had lost or eroded features, Marble arches and keystones had also eroded. Workers took great care to match the original Tuckahoe marble when Dutchmen were needed. They replaced pieces of arches, repaired keystones, and consolidated capitals. They retooled the balustrade. The sheet metal cornice had been painted black, and an original signboard had been covered over. Cleaning showed that the cornice had been terribly damaged. Workers in bucket lifts inspected the signboard. Uncovering it revealed the original name of the building. Thomas Hope commissioned the building to house his dry goods wholesale firm. The restored cornice and name now sit atop a gleaming facade. The Hope Building's true beauty has been revealed.
And thank you for everyone who was part of the team, like Jonathan Schloss Architects. Jonathan is here tonight. Walter B. Melvin Architects, Sergio De Orbetta. Schiami Construction, we have Joseph Missy here tonight. L Metals, Nova Construction, Optimum Windows, Artistic Windows, Silman Construction, and many others. The people from my own company, New York Residents, Vertinvest, the owners, and everyone who was part of this project. In fact, this project gave over 300 people and their families work and filled them with purpose during the darkest days of COVID. So hope will endure. The Hope Building will be there for the next generations. And thank you, Landmarks Conservancy, so much for recognizing and honoring this an extraordinary team effort.
The Church of St. Mary the Virgin is a French Gothic surprise in the midst of its eclectic Times Square neighborhood. The 1895 church and adjoining parish buildings were designed by Napoleon Lebrun and Sons. This was the first of its kind steel frame building in the world. It eliminated the need for buttresses and allowed a wide space within a rather narrow lot. This glorious church was behind a sidewalk bridge for 2 decades after the limestone facade began spalling. The church is nicknamed Smoky Mary for the amount of incense used during services, but the nickname also served the darkened facade. A committed congregation finally raised the money to repair their beloved church. This comprehensive project addressed the spalling limestone, damaged masonry, open joists, and cracked balustrade. The pediment cross was restored, and lovely statuary designed by J. Massey Rind were cleaned and restored. The project also renewed the mission house facade and the facade and parapet of the clergy house. You don't have to be religious at all to understand that this architectural beauty is a gift to everyone who passes by.
It is our honor to receive this award on behalf of St. Mary the Virgin, our beloved church home. This project began when a very small piece of stone fell from the facade of our building, and we lived under a bridge and scaffolding for many years. Mary Jane and I led the fundraising campaign that enabled us to be saved by a complicated restoration and by the skill, commitment, and patience of Jan Herd Pokorny architects. Many of those Pokorny saints are here tonight, and we would like to thank them, Mike Devonshire, Lou Gleason, and Angela Kermy. And of course, we thank the Landmarks Conservancy for recognizing us and our building. Thank you.
This 1886 Brooklyn Heights building has had several lives. It was a carriage house, a garage, and then home to artists John and Richanda Roden for 55 years. The Rodens' will stipulated that new owners should be an arts organization, preferably with a focus on Asian art. And now it is, the Asia Art Archive in America. The new owners restored the brick facade. New doors now reflect the original, but are more appropriate for the new use. A plaque is dedicated to the Rodens. A transformed back entrance features part of John Roden's collection of found objects. This is what the first floor looked like as the Rodens' residence. It is now filled with serene office space and a reading room. The building also has space for panels, programs, and workshops on contemporary art of and from Asia. The brickwork enclosed what was once an elevator lift for the garage. It now encloses new stairs. 23 Cranberry Street honors the Rodens' wishes. It also continues to honor the the architectural legacy of Brooklyn Heights.
Thank you very, very much, the Landmarks Conservancy. We are absolutely thrilled and honored to have been given this award. As everybody who has spoken today recognizes that it takes a team to do any great project. And the great team for this project was led by Ben Baxt, and I hope Ben is here today. We had a wonderful contractor, Derek, from Dynamic Construction. I have a team at Asia Art Archive who was very patient in working through the details during the pandemic. But most important of all, I want to thank and acknowledge John and Rashonda Roden. They were artists, and they had a vision and a great love for the arts. And I am utterly honored to be in a position, based on their plans and their planning, to continue their legacy with this building. So thank you very much.
Castle Clinton was built in 1811 as a fort to protect the city from the British. It never had to fire a shot, and it's had several lives since. It was an entertainment center and restaurant, America's first immigration station, predating Ellis Island. And it housed an aquarium. After the aquarium moved to Coney Island, it was saved from demolition and reopened in 1975 by the National Park Service. It has served as the ticket office for ferries to Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty ever since. Ellis Island is the third most visited national park in the country. Millions of Americans and foreign tourists go through the castle each year. After years of deferred maintenance, it wasn't presenting the country's best face to the world. Vegetation topped the sallyport. Walls were discolored. Major cracks had opened. The restoration focused on treating the red sandstone walls. Workers diagnosed the complex cracks, cleaned the stones, removed old patches, made repairs, and when necessary, installed new stones that matched the original. Castle Clinton now puts a weathered but conserved face to the world. The restoration was important to demonstrate that America honors its history. It also preserves a unique layer of New York's own fascinating past.
Thank you so much for being here from the National Park Service. We came a long way. And I really appreciate that. Castle Clinton is a beautiful place to be. Castle Garden was the first immigration station before Ellis Island. From 1855 to 1890, over 8 million immigrants came through Castle Garden. And then from 1892 to 1954, they used Ellis Island. So we do a lot of tours, Rangers giving a lot of tours, so you gotta come on down and see Castle Clinton. It's beautiful. We have junior ranger programs for the adults, for kids, and everybody love it. So please, we all should do Shakespeare at nighttime. Please, I thank you for the award again. Thank you so much.
Architect Ernest Flagg built the St. Luke's Hospital complex between 1897 and 1928. Abandoned for decades, these 4 French Renaissance Revival pavilions have been transformed into a high-end residential complex. All 4 are on the National Register of Historic Places. The 2 facing Morningside Drive are also city landmarks. They were meticulously restored. The project utilized preservation tax credits. The limestone facade and all the original finishes have been returned to their Gilded Age grandeur. Balconies, where patients once recovered, are now amenities. A central carriage house has been turned into a residence lounge. The mansard roofs illustrate the attention these buildings received. Here they are in various stages of restoration. Innovative insulating materials were laid down. New red tiles installed. Elaborate copper window surrounds also restored. These ornate buildings have resumed their place as a highlight of Morningside Drive.
We're really honored to receive this award. As you can see, it's a beautiful building, and obviously give a special thanks to Michael Shaw, the owner, with this vision of restoring the buildings and converting them into a luxury residential building. And a special thanks to Thomas Tomasetti and Charu and her team. They did a fantastic job. On top of that, we just completed a lobby vestibule restoration where we got special thanks to Kathleen Hogarty and James Ottori from Stone Perfect. They were able to locate a quarry in Tennessee to open up and fabricate a new marble step that complies with landmarks, which is in one of the front-facing buildings of Morningside Drive. Again, we're really honored to receive this award. It's a true honor, and thank you very much.
Pier 57 is the latest transformation of the Hudson River waterfront. Once a vacant, rusty municipal building, it's now yet another attraction within the Hudson River Park. The complex project was completed with state and federal historic tax credits. Exterior work restored the structure's architectural character. Brick and limestone at the head house were turned from worn to welcoming. Historic building signage and lighting were restored. Original steel windows were taken off-site for repair and reglazing, then reinstalled. The roof turned from a likely crime scene setting for a Law and Order episode into a new public park filled with greenery. The project is a dramatic example of how older buildings can be repurposed. Drab rooms with peeling paint are now dazzling office and community spaces. Even hallways are welcoming. Steel protective gates are gone, replaced with a light-filled, catchy entrance. Pier 57 is a handsome reminder of the city's days as a shipping center. It's also a lively draw to explore the remarkable Hudson River Park of today.
Thank you so much. Hudson River Park is celebrating its 25th anniversary this year, and we've been working on Pier 57 for approximately 20 of those years. So it is absolutely thrilling to see it open and see people enjoying its incredible beauty. We're a partnership between New York State and New York City, and part of our mission includes restoring and preserving New York's maritime history. And this is just such an incredible project, and we've been so fortunate to have partners at RXR, Google, Youngwoo, all the partners that you see there who've made this happen. So I thank you for this award very much.
I'm stealing the thunder a bit for the person at RXR who has really brought this job across the finish line, John Ambrosini, sitting right here. Wave to the crowd, John. He is the mayor of Pier 57, and the team down there has done a great job bringing it across the finish line. To have a public agency like the Hudson River Park Trust with people who have consistently been there, Noreen and I have been together on this project for almost 10 years, it would not have happened. It is a huge project. It is hundreds of millions of dollars, and we could not ask for a better friend, a better landlord than the HRPT, than Noreen and her staff. Thank you again to the Conservancy for this very prestigious award.
This is one of the few remaining farmhouses from what was once the village of Flatbush. It was built around 1783, using materials from an even earlier Lefferts home burned by the British. 5 generations of Lefferts resided here. The house was moved to Prospect Park in 1917 to escape encroaching development. The Prospect Park Alliance and the city's Historic House Trust both care for it. The 240-year-old building was showing its age, badly in need of painting, with growth on the shingled roof. It underwent a meticulous $2.5 million restoration, thanks to the council speaker and the Brooklyn delegation of the city council. This rare survivor now boasts new roof shingles. Installing them did not disturb the roof's original interior structure. The dormers and windows are restored, as are the wall shingles. The restored front door reflects changes made to the house through the years. The porch no longer sags. The restoration honors the home's Dutch heritage, but the Prospect Park Alliance is expanding its educational programming. It will now have even more emphasis on the indigenous people who once lived there and the enslaved Africans who helped build the house and work on the farm. The Lefferts House and Grounds offer a comprehensive look at Brooklyn's long history.
We are honored to accept this award and be amongst this esteemed group of other awardees. Frederick Law Olmsted was a strong believer in parks and open spaces, and particularly Prospect Park, being symbols of our democracy and the places where people of all walks of life could gather and convene and feel respite from city life. And I'm honored that this Lefferts Historic House lives up in that spirit of democracy and freedom, and that we have the privilege of restoring it and opening it now back to the public with, as the video mentioned, a renewed emphasis on the legacy of the Lenape people and the enslaved Africans who helped to build that historic house. So it's truly an honor and a pleasure to be awarded for our work in this area. And I want to acknowledge the team, wave, for everyone from the Prospect Park Alliance who helped to support and put together this historic restoration. I think we are doing Olmsted proud. Thank you.
Philip Johnson's New York State Pavilion captivated visitors at the 1964 World's Fair. The futuristic Tent of Tomorrow and the observation towers of varying height delighted throngs of attendees. The last structure remaining from the fair, the pavilion, has become a symbol of Queens. It's attracted wide public and elected support in recent years for its restoration. Now, the first major capital investment in the pavilion is complete, with funding from the Queensborough President, City Council, and Mayor. Work included replacing deteriorated suspension cables, building new stairs, tackling rusting steel, and restoring original blue globe lighting on the observation towers. Fabulous new architectural lighting now highlights the 59-year-old unofficial landmark. The hope is that stabilizing the pavilion will ease access for maintenance, raise its profile even more, and attract future funding for restoration and eventual reuse. The Tent of Tomorrow is now a beloved touchstone for today.
Thank you very much, Peg, and thank you to the Landmarks Conservancy. First, congratulations to all of the honorees tonight. I'm honored to be among them to accept this award on behalf of Parks Commissioner Sue Donahue and the Parks Department. The New York State Pavilion is an important part of New York City's history, and it's one of the most iconic relics remaining from the 1964 World's Fair in Flushing Meadows, Corona Park. But like all projects that were mentioned here tonight, this was a labor of love that took a team of people years to get to this stage. I want to recognize the hard work and efforts of a few of them, including our Parks project managers, Sybil Young and Sal Sorrento, who are here with us tonight, Zach Rice and the engineers from Silman, JFK&M, Langen, Kevin Nee from AECOM, the architects from Picorni, lighting designers from Les Herbatoires and International, Vertical Access from their amazing rappelling and surveying work, and of course our contractor, BG National. Thank you for all of the time and energy you've put into this project. We are all thrilled that our Phase 1 stabilization is complete, and we look forward to future phases when we can welcome people back into the structure on special occasions. Thank you very much.
Jack Kerr is widely respected as an expert on preservation law. He's been a key participant in major preservation cases, but that wasn't his initial goal. He thought about being an archaeologist and went on digs in Greece. Instead, he went to Columbia Law School. There, he got to work on the Penn Central case. That affirmed the city's landmarks law and established landmarking as legitimate nationally. Jack joined Simpson, Thacher, and Bartlett and led the firm's international arbitration and litigation practice. But early on, STB partner and Conservancy board member Whitney North Seymour got him involved in a range of Conservancy issues. Jack joined our board in 1988. He served as secretary, treasurer, vice chair, and eventually chair in 2001. Jack was indispensable during preservation legal battles. A Supreme Court case involving a boundary dispute on Ellis Island between New York and New Jersey. Litigation to stop the demolition of the Biltmore Hotel, stop the demolition of St. Bart's Community House, and the hardship case brought by St. Vincent's Hospital. He has advised the Landmarks Commission and represented several other groups. Jack continues to counsel, most recently advising on an amicus brief challenging the state's description of the Penn Station area as blighted. Jack currently works in international arbitration. His devotion to preservation continues. He serves as vice chair of the World Monuments Fund and is on the board of the James Marston Fitch Charitable Foundation. Archaeology's loss was a big gain for preservation.
I first want to thank the New York Landmarks Conservancy for bestowing this honor on me tonight, and I am very grateful to join tonight's other honorees, as well as the distinguished prior recipients of this award. And I thank Peg Breen for that introduction and her generous remarks. Looking out and seeing so many familiar faces from my life in historic preservation, my colleagues at the Landmarks Conservancy and the World Monuments Fund, my former partners and associates at Simpson Thacher, my fellow trustees at the Fitch Foundation, my former clients and co-counsel in the many preservation litigations that we endeavored upon, and of course my family and dear friends who have supported me. The journey from historian and archaeologist to lawyer and historic preservation unfolded in ways that I never could have imagined. I was fortunate to join a law firm that took its commitment seriously to public service. Whitney Seymour and Donald Orsman were mentors who encouraged me to do pro bono cases in historic preservation. I came of age as a lawyer in the infancy of the historic preservation movement in New York and the United States in the 1970s and 80s. This was great timing. And finally, I was fortunate to have as clients the Landmarks Conservancy, the Municipal Art Society, the National Trust, and many others who were committed to establishing the constitutionality of New York's landmarks law and to ensure that it was accepted, interpreted, and applied by the courts in New York. I want to especially thank my co-honoree, Laurie Beckelman, who has been with me every step of the way as client, colleague, friend in preservation for more than 40 years, and I'm thrilled that we're here together tonight as honorees. Thank you, Laurie. And of course, my wife, Nora, historian, architect, confidant, who knows so much more than I. Where would I be without her and her constant and loving support? Thank you, Nora. To paraphrase Thomas Jefferson, it falls to each generation to preserve for posterity the best of what we have. Finally, in concluding, I want to remember several people: Ralph Menapace, Paul Byard, and Dorothy Miner, who introduced me to the excitement of high-stakes historic preservation litigation. We worked together as a team in the Grand Central case, which today is still the most important historic preservation case in history. Thank you all.
And I would like to thank my colleagues Andrea Goldwyn, Carla Ilo, and Rick Bruner for all the help on this evening. Thank you all so much for coming. Join us at the reception. See you next year.